Hey guys, uh, give me 1 second. We're just getting started. Cool. Okay. All right. Awesome. So, yep. So, thanks everyone for joining in. I know we'll probably have a few people join in a minute as well. Uh, but we'll get started. The session will be recorded. So, in case somebody's not able to, stick around for the full thing or internet issues, whatever, don't worry. The recording of the session will be shared with you individually over email. Yeah. All right, awesome. So thank you everyone for joining in. My name is Mayank Grover. I'm the founder of Outscale. Most of you might not know uh, me, so a little bit quick background about myself, and then we'll dive into things related to game development and this specific program details, etc. as well. So I've been in the tech ecosystem for more than 10 years now, and I graduated from Delhi College of Engineering back in 2009 and in IT. And then after that, moved to a company called DE Shaw. It's one of the top companies that visits campuses, in the likes of your Morgan Stanley and Google, Facebook. So, right up there with the A plus category of companies. So, spent 3 years there. Then I moved to US, did my master's from Carnegie Mellon, moved to San Francisco, worked for a bunch of game companies there. If you're familiar with the Electronic Arts, I'm sure if you're a game enthusiast, majority of you would know Electronic Arts. So worked with them for a bit. After that, worked with another company again in San Francisco called DNA. Worked with the Transformers game, etc. as well. So fairly high profile, international quality projects and companies there. And then I moved back to India. Was working with the Jungly Games, which is another big company here in India. Has a lot of loyal fan base, especially in the casino genre segment, which is very popular in India, especially in gaming. So, and since last 2 3 years, I've been working in startups and both internationally with a bunch of companies as well, in Dubai, in Singapore, in US, etc. as well. So last 6 7 years, I've been working both in India and in US, juggling multiple responsibilities with different companies. So that's a little bit about me. When it comes to Outscale, so I started building Outscale in 2018, and now we are on to our ninth batch, no, eighth batch of for game developers. So the goal was that when I was hiring for engineers at Jungly Games and other startups, the problem was that there are a lot of students that are really passionate about game development and they want to build a career, but the problem is just that there aren't any proper sort of professional grade, uh, you know, uh, places where they can go and learn how to build top notch games and how to build top quality games, because gaming is actually, most people don't realize that gaming is actually much harder. When it comes to development, it's much harder than a lot of the other domains as well, and it requires both good code quality, good problem solving, algorithm, data structures, as well as a good eye for building good games with good game design, right? Which is usually not required if you're building, say, like an Android developer. You don't need game design skills to build good Android apps, right? So there you need good coding skills and good data structures and problem solving skills, which is absolutely the same thing that you need even in the gaming industry. But then you also need a lot of skills around game design, and can you understand what a player experiences, etc. as well, right? So that's why building good games is actually you end up being very much well-rounded engineers that are suitable for other industries as well. So I usually like to call it that game development is a gateway drug. Once you're into game development, then you're basically hooked onto development, and then irrespective of which domain you go into tomorrow, 5 years from now, you transition into Android world, you transition into web world. Rest of the things become a lot more easier. Trust me, because you've handled like the hardest part first, right? So cool. Let me go ahead and share my screen. Give me one sec. All right. So hopefully everyone can see my screen. If there are any questions, we'll first quickly run through high level details and sort of an overview of the entire program. During the conversation, if there is any question that you have, feel free to just directly put it down in the chat. I'll pause in between as often as I can, and sort of pick up whatever questions you guys might have. Okay, so just feel free to put down your questions, and we'll try to cover all the information first within the first half an hour or so, and then from there on, we'll focus more on sort of Q&A and discussion around it. All right. Cool. So Outscale mainly, like I mentioned, the goal was to sort of give engineers the right kind of tools so that they can become kick-ass game developers, right? And we started with this mission back in 2018, and so far we've partnered with a large number of companies, close to now 100 companies what we are tracking at this stage and partnering with across India, and a few even international players as well, that are looking to hire kick-ass developers, right? So majority what people have sort of a misconception is that game development does not pay well compared to other domains, but actually that's not the case. What you need to understand is that when it comes to sort of what kind of companies can pay more versus the others, is the companies that make money are the ones that can pay more, right? And understand that even today, the only companies that are making money are game development companies, right? So gaming companies are at an all-time boom. As a result, we have seen the hiring skyrocketed, right? Like it's 3-4 times higher than average at this time in terms of the number of job positions that are available, whereas the other industries are all going through a lump, right? So that's where having these skills can actually come in very handy. Okay, so today we'll be focusing on a few of these sort of high level pieces. So first I'll give you a quick overview of what the program is, how it's structured, what are the different modules that we'll be focusing on, how we do the classes, what is this thing called an income share agreement. I'm sure if you've had a conversation with somebody from my team already, you would fairly have a good idea about what income share agreement is, but I'll still cover more details in terms of more technical details as to what this contract is, and what are the nitty gritty details in there. Okay, then how do placements and all happen, and then last we'll cover basically some tools and softwares that we'll be using during the program, and how you'll be sort of learning while you go along through this program. All right. Somebody is asking why Unity, why not Unreal? Again, so the question is very very, what do you call it, obvious one, because majority people get stuck with this as like, should I learn Unreal, should I learn Unity? And these are not the two ones, right? Like these are the two ones that you might think about, but if you look at job opportunities, then there are HTML5 job opportunities for game developers, there are Coco Studio opportunities as well, right? So it's not just between Unity and Unreal and these other things as well, but the point is that you need to reverse engineer your approach. Ultimately, if your goal is to work with some kick-ass company, you need to see how many kind of job opportunities are there for a specific technology skill. Okay, are there more opportunities for Unity, are there more opportunities for Unreal? Which one has more opportunities, and accordingly you want to focus your attention there. Okay, this is the most basic thing that 100% of the student miss. You need to focus on uh, you know uh, the kind of opportunities that exist, and then figure out whether those opportunities are good for you or not, right? Versus just saying, okay, Unity is great, so let me use Unity. Unreal is not so great, let me use Unreal. Current Unity and Unreal are basically two game engines that are popular in the industry. So they basically provide you a framework for building games. Okay. So if you're new to it, don't worry. The whole program is structured in a way that it will start from very basics, and you'll be able to sort of, start building your first few games in a very incremental fashion. Okay. So, so yeah. To answer your question, why Unity versus Unreal? At this stage in India, Unity has more job opportunities. And because our whole program is centered around the concept of giving you good career opportunities, that's why Unity makes sense. Okay. Um, come from an IT. Currently, I'm in Java development. Absolutely, yeah. So you already have some work experience. That's great. You can leverage your Java skills because ultimately OOPs and object-oriented concepts are the same. But obviously, you'll have to learn new technologies, but you'll be able to keep. If you're able to keep up, this will be very helpful for you to make that transition. Okay. All right. So overall, the duration is 4+ months, and the idea is that during these 4 months, we'll be heavily focusing on two big modules that I'll be covering next. Expect that this is kind of like taking on a full-time job almost, right? So you'll be working predominantly as if you are already a remote developer or a remote engineer working with Outscale. Okay. The course is not that it's a study program, right? It's more like it's structured in the same way as if you are already working full time with somebody. So every interaction you'll have with me, with other mentors, with teaching assistants, it is structured in the same way as if you were part of a company already, so that you become almost ready to become a full-time developer in the same processes that a company will treat you in. Okay. And when you make that transition from going out from Outscale and entering into the company, you already know 90% of the stuff that is happening, right? So the idea is that it's constructed like a working hour, right? So 6 days a week, you'll be spending 6 to 7 hours on average a day during the day with us, engaging, interacting, be it through live sessions, be it through Discord, and all those things I'll just cover. But the idea is it's a very high intensity program. But if you're able to make it through, this is the best kind of learning experience you'll have. Like, you'll wish that these 4 months were the same as your 4 years of bachelor's. Trust me. And you can talk to our other developers; they'll tell you the same thing. Okay, cool. So there will be a lot of focus on finishing up tasks. All of these tasks will be nothing but projects. So we'll be building a lot of projects, a lot of sort of fun game projects, both 2D and 3D games. And there will be deadlines, because once you enroll in with us, we treat you as if you are an entry level developer. Okay, so we treat you professionally, and we give you tasks in the same way as if a company would give you, in terms of building your own portfolio games. And you will report back in the same way as you were reporting to your manager within a company. Okay, so the relationship is not of a teacher student, it's of a manager and an employee, right? Or a senior engineer and a junior engineer. So our relationship will remain that way, and this will get you comfortable of how companies, top tech companies, are expecting you to work today, right? So you need to get into that zone and habit. Okay, so these are the core modules that we'll be focusing on. So initially, we'll kick off with data structures and algorithms. A lot of people, have weak fundamentals when it comes to computer science and problem solving. So the first module will be heavily focusing in C++, data structures, and algorithms. After that, we'll move on to our first project in Unity. Again, this order might change between the first two things. So we actually might start with doing Unity first, and then we'll jump into the data structures. So the order is different, but just that the modules are still going to be the same. So we'll cover all of these modules. So on the Unity module, the first project that we'll start working on is a 2D platformer game project. And here we'll start learning the fundamentals of both the C# language as well as the Unity game engine itself, and start setting up things like animations for our characters, and making the character move left and right and making it jump, setting up multiple levels for the character as well, and how to construct it in a way so that tomorrow, if you've set up 3 levels, now your designer can go in and turn it into 100 new levels as well, right? So they don't need your help on setting up 100 levels, but you have given them all the right kind of engineering setup so that they can create more levels for you, and you move on to doing other things, right? So this is exactly how I used to set up my teams when we were working in different companies as well, right? And this is how we actually set up professional teams. So the your projects will exactly look sort of professional grade, and these are big projects. These projects will take you 3 to 4 weeks to finish, right? So these are not your to do app tutorial projects that you can finish in a 2 hour unity 2 hour YouTube tutorial that you're watching somebody else do and you can follow along and be done, right? These are not that kind of projects. These projects will take you at least 3 to 4 weeks to finish individually. And the idea is that at the end of the day, once you finish these projects add value to your resume. You will be able to showcase these projects, and in your interview, you will be able to talk about these projects and the kind of technical things that you have implemented in them. Okay, so from there, from our first 2D project, we'll be moving on to our 3D project, which will focus more on sort of intermediate to advanced level concepts such as design patterns and adding AI for our enemies and making the enemies move around left and right, etc. as well. So a lot of the focus here would be on slightly more advanced level concepts. Okay. The last project that we'll be picking up is that we'll be doing a little bit of JavaScript, and from there we'll be going into building a multiplayer game as well. Okay, so the goal would be that you know if anybody is know if anybody knows what this concept of full stack is, right? When they hear this term called a full stack developer, typically the first thing that you guys might think of is that a full stack developer is a full stack web developer, somebody who knows front end HTML, CSS, and maybe back end in some Node.js or PHP or Python or some other language, right? But that is not the case. Uh, Full stack simply means that you know how to build a full-fledged product, okay, a full-fledged application. And if you can build that, both the front end and the back end, doesn't matter what technology you're working in, right? Then you are a full stack developer. Okay, so you can be a full stack developer both in web technologies, you can be in Android technologies, you can be in gaming as well. Okay, so here the goal would be that you not only focus on learning Unity, but you also learn the basics of backend and are able to build simple multiplayer games by yourself. Okay, by no means, games like PUBG and all are not one-person shows, right? So don't expect that you'll be able to build PUBG immediately after you finish this first project, because those are a lot more complex things. But we'll still introduce those concepts, and the idea would be that you are able to uh, start to understand the complexity of these games and what is actually happening behind the scenes, not just in front of your eyes on your phone, but also what's happening on the server, and how to manage user data, how to manipulate this information, etc. Okay. uh, Once we finish these projects, then basically we'll be diving into our interview preparation. So this interview preparation, while we are in our second half, right? So once we have covered these first 2 projects, once we start working on the Unity 3D battle tank project, at the same time we'll start our interview preparation module piece in parallel. So we do a lot of mock interviews and preparation interviews, etc. as well, so that you get comfortable answering questions, because a lot of the developers make similar kind of mistakes when they're talking to HR, when they're talking to engineering manager. And once we set up interviews for you, you just need to follow that same recipe that we have taught you during the interview preparation module in order to become successful. Okay. I've installed Unity something something. Visual Studios also required. Yeah, so Visual Studio is also required, but don't worry for that. Once you start, with the first Unity project, we'll tell you and share all the details in terms of the kind of tools that are needed and what all things you need to install, etc. Okay. So that stuff we'll cover. Don't worry about too much. At least not now. Okay. Mahesh is asking what to do when I have exams. Mahesh, that's not gonna be just a problem for you, but because that's gonna be a problem for pretty much everyone enrolled in, right? So since the batch is all focused for people who are just graduating in 2020 itself, right? So everybody is a final year student, would have just graduated or already graduated, right? So it's the same thing. Uh, because we use both live and recorded sort of learning resources. So everything that is live also gets recorded and shared with you guys. Okay, so that way if you are able to or not able to attend a few classes here and there, not an issue. But if it's something bigger, right, you have classes, say exams for 2 3 weeks altogether, we'll try to accommodate you into the next batch, so that way whatever project you end up missing, you get a chance to redo that project altogether. But of course, which means that if you end up missing a big chunk, your placement pipeline will get shifted as well. So try to let us know what your timeline is on your exams, etc., as soon as you know. That way we can accommodate you best. Okay, so don't worry, we will work with you in order to figure out what is the best way to go forward whenever you have your exams, etc. All right. Cool. So in terms of classes, like I mentioned, this is structured in a very similar way as to how things happen in the industry. So, one thing that you will see here different is, so for your Unity projects, I'll be your mentor, right? Um, for the most part, you'll be directly engaging with me in the live sessions, and Shubham, who's our subject matter expert for game development, you'll be interacting with him as well, and a few other TAs who are there to help you on the Discord server as well. So all the live classes and engagements that happen during the week will be again on Zoom, very much like today. The goal for these live engagements will be purely focused around discussing your projects and your implementations, okay, and taking up your doubts and taking up whatever questions you might have. Okay, so the way the whole sort of program is structured is, once you start with us, right, you start to unlock projects. Okay, and the way the projects are structured is that they start all the way from zero and keep on increasing in difficulty. With each project you unlock, you're basically unlocking study material as well as the things that you want to implement. Okay, so it goes in sort of 3 steps: study material, assignment, review. Okay, so this one piece is like one feature in your game. Okay, so if today you have to start implementing, say, animation in your player, so you'll first have the study material for animation, next comes the actual assignment for animation, and then comes review. So in review, basically we'll be showing you each step by step as to how to submit your projects for review, etc., as well via GitHub. The goal is that you will get reviewed as if you are a junior engineer in a company. So when you are an engineer in a company, you will have a senior engineer who will be reviewing your code and giving you feedback on, hey, you fucked up here, let's fix this. Hey, you did this really well, let's continue to do that more, right? This is the correct approach, but this is not. So you'll individually get feedback on your own implementations, and you'll basically be able to improve from there. Okay, so whole sort of concept of these live interactions will be focused around doubts, code reviews, feedback, project discussions, etc. Okay, and that is where majority of your learning is going to come in from. And you'll see, once you attend 1 or 2 sessions, you'll see that this is such a drastically different way of learning. And if you're really interested about learning and actually taking your skills to the next level, you know after that you're never going to go back to your classroom style of learning, because that doesn't work for everybody. Okay, but yeah, so all the live engagement will focus on these code reviews. So I'll be reviewing your code and I'll be giving you feedback on your projects in these live sessions, and you'll be able to ask doubts, etc., for all the game development related topics. When it comes to data structures, we have other mentors as well that take up those modules as well. And Again, majority of them are people with 8 to 10 years experience in the industry. So they are super senior people, people who have led teams of 20, 25 engineers or even bigger in the industry, in top companies. So you'll be able to learn from their experience and how they'll sort of guide you and coach you. Okay. uh, Typically, we'll use Google Calendar. So much like today, every live session will have a meeting invite on Google Calendar. We'll have, so on the sheet it says three, but usually we'll have 3 to 4 live sessions during the week, and we'll be meeting every day for a quick daily stand up. Again, exactly the same thing how it happens in companies. You're supposed to do daily stand ups. Stand up is nothing but a short meeting where you give your progress update. So you just go and say, all right, I'm currently working on this feature. I'm currently stuck here and I need help, or I have already implemented animations and now I'm moving on to the next feature, adding AI to my player, etc. These kind of things. Okay. So all of these processes are constructed in the same way. Okay. As how you are expected to work. Everything will, like I mentioned, will get recorded, and we use Google Classrooms. So if you've already finished your C++ coding assignment that has been shared with you, then you would have already received access to Google Classrooms. If not, please drop in an updated email on your admissions email ID where you've submitted your assignment, and we'll look into it. But your pre-course setup is already there, and the similar setup will continue to be used for the uh, rest of the entire project. Okay. Teaching assistants. So we have a lot of support folks who will be there to help you when you're getting stuck in certain projects, etc. They'll be guiding you on your features between any live session. So if you're meeting 3 to 4 times a week on live Zoom sessions, but if you have stuck and need help in between those two live sessions, so we have one session today, we have one session say on Thursday, then if tomorrow you need help, you don't need to wait till Thursday. You basically go to Discord, which is our communication app, and I'll show you all the setup there. You will go to Discord, you'll ask your question there, and directly you'll get your immediate help in terms of your projects, etc. So you don't have to wait till the class to get help, but you will be able to ask for help before, wherever you're getting stuck. Doesn't matter whether it's data structures, whether it's C++, whether it's C sharp, whether it's Unity, no matter what it is, you'll be able to get help. Okay. Okay, so hopefully this part is clear, all these details. Degree is mandatory for these kind of jobs. Degree, for this course, you don't need a degree, but some companies do ask for degrees. Okay. So what we'll have to do is, based on your profile, we'll have to figure out whether you're a good fit for companies that don't, majority companies now don't care about degrees, but some still do, right? So it will just limit the number of companies that you can apply to, but still that should not be a problem. Drop in an email at admissions@outscale.com, and we'll look into your case in case you still don't have a degree. Okay. Will modeling be also covered? Absolutely no. The goal is not to become an artist or a 3D modeler. The goal is to become a kick-ass developer. Okay, and for developers in the industry, developers are highest paid employees usually, right? And you don't expect them to do any kind of modeling or 3D software or Maya or Max, etc. Okay, those are specific roles. There are artists who do just that, and that alone has, you need to do a lot of practice, etc., for that alone. So here we'll just focus on coding, and trust me, that alone is a hard enough skill to acquire. All right. So yeah. Cool. So in terms of the fees options, there are two options. I think most of you might be already familiar with this, but I'll still iterate. So typically, how you know about any kind of a program or any kind of an online course, etc., right? Or even a physical course, doesn't matter, right? A course. You have the upfront payment option where you pay upfront and then you enroll in for the program. Here, the cost of the upfront program is 1.5 lakhs plus GST. And that is the most common thing that majority students are aware of, right? But then there is this new option available as well, that is called income share agreement. Okay. Now, irrespective of whichever option you go for, doesn't matter. Okay. The first 2 weeks of the program, when we start doing live classes, that is potentially free for everybody to try out. Okay, so for that, in case you try out for the first 2 weeks and you do not like the program, or you're not able to keep up with the pace of the program, you find it too hard, could be any reason, or maybe just because of corona something is not working out and you want to apply for the next batch, right? uh, any of those situations and you plan to drop out, then the initial security deposit that you'll do, that will get refunded. So that's why I say that the first 2 weeks are free, because if you drop out within the first 2 weeks and you let us know to refund your security deposit that you are dropping out, then you don't have to worry about paying anything. Okay, since the entire program is very long and fairly intense, we work with you a lot in on a day-to-day basis. As a result, just the first 2 weeks should be, we're strong believers that you should be able to try it out for yourself and see whether you're able to upgrade within the 2 weeks alone itself or not, right? So based on the difference, you'll be able to see how much quality improvement in your coding standards that you're able to add. Okay. All right. So now let's talk more about the income share agreement. Oh, so if you even want to take the prepaid option, right, you can make that decision at the end of the 2 weeks. Okay. So you still have 2 weeks to make that decision and say, all right, at the end of the 2 weeks, I loved it. I want to continue with it. And I'm going to take the, whoops, sorry. And I'm going to take the upfront wala option. Okay. You always have that choice. So let's dive a little bit into what is this income share agreement thing. Okay. So the goal here for this thing called income share agreement is that once you finish the 2 week trial, if we like how you are progressing and you are able to finish your assignments on time, you're able to, showcase your projects, you're able to discuss about them, your communication skills are, good. So at the end of 2 weeks, we will give you the opportunity to sign an income share agreement. What this income share agreement does is that you do not have to worry about paying the upfront cost of the program till the time you actually have graduated and actually been placed in a company. Okay. So you're basically saying, I'm going to defer all my payment, much like an education loan. I'm going to defer it till the time I get placed. Okay. So the way it works is that you're going to, as a student, and us as an educational institute, we'll enter into a contract where we'll take part of your future income. Okay. So in this case, it will be 17% of your CTC for a total duration of 36 months in installments. Okay. So the calculation, the way it works is that if let's say your entire, you get placed at, say 10 lakhs. Okay. So your starting salary after you graduate is 10 lakhs annual. Okay. Now 17% of that will be 1.7 lakhs. Okay. So you'll basically repay us 1.7 lakhs is your, annual amount that you have to pay us, divided it by 12, and that is your installments that you have to pay. Okay. So every month you'll be paying installments from your own salary. And the idea is that if you're a student and we are an education provider, we both need to do the best possible work for you to get the best possible job. If you succeed, then only we are able to make any money. And we only succeed when you succeed. Okay. So as an institute, and you as a student, our motivation is the same, that you should get a kick-ass job at the end. Okay. Otherwise, neither you make money nor we make money. It's simple as that. Absolutely clear. Okay. And the idea is that you will basically pay us back over EMIs. So it's not that, hey, you just got a job today, now you pay us this full amount, and maybe 2 months later you lose a job, company shuts down, economy goes to shit, like happened in coronavirus, right? Like during the time you've lost your job or you're making a transition into the next job and you're not earning, right? Then you don't have to pay for those EMI, those months. You will pay us once you start earning back again. So it is flexible in that sense that you pay us for the months that you are basically making money. Whatever you are making, 17% of that comes back to us. Okay. And the idea is that we give you the right skills so that you can go and get some awesome jobs. Okay. And obviously, we'll help you getting those awesome jobs. So you'll be paying us a maximum of 36 monthly installments. The total duration of the ISA lasts for 6 years. if there is a medical emergency, if there is some other problem, etc., etc., you're not able to take up job opportunities immediately after the program, etc. So the ISA is structured to be flexible so that we don't force you to take up the job immediately. You have the choice as well to say, okay, I have some family commitments, I have to go back to my hometown, I can't take this job right now, I'll come back to and take, apply for more jobs in 2 months because of some medical emergency. So then you don't have to worry about paying us EMIs for those 2 months because you're not earning anything for those 2 months. Once you start earning in month 3, then only you have to worry about paying us back. Okay. So it kind of aligns, both your and our incentives. But in order for you to pay back, our commitment is that we will get you a job that is a minimum 5 lakh starting salary. Anything below that, you don't start paying. Only once you cross this threshold of 5 lakhs, then only you start paying. So if, let's say, a company hires you immediately after you graduate, or even before you graduate, a lot of companies actually end up hiring our developers before you have already graduated. So imagine you end up, getting placed at say 4.5 lakhs as the starting salary, and the company says that they have a 3-month probation period. After 3 months, they will review your performance and give you an appraisal depending on the performance. So for the first 3 months, when you're earning 4.5 lakhs LPA, right, you don't need to worry about paying us back during those 3 months. After you've done the performance review and say the company gives you a performance raise and now you're at 6 LPA, right? So you have crossed that threshold of 5 LPA, which is the minimum number. So only from the month that your LPA jumps to above 5, so you need to pay the EMIs at that point in time. Okay? So the goal is that only pay us back when you actually are starting making this much. Otherwise, you don't pay. Okay. And then there is also a upper limit as well, that you will never ever, because it's percentage based, right? Uh, Somebody getting placed at 10 lakh, somebody getting placed at 6 lakh will pay different amounts. But if you did a really good job and went out and got a 10 lakh salary, right? That doesn't mean that you have to pay double the amount compared to somebody that ended up paying 5 lakh salary, right? So in that case, there is an upper limit as well, that no matter what, right, you will never pay more than 3 lakhs. Never. Okay. So that makes it safe for you, that you continue to push high in terms of getting a higher LPA, and we'll help you to push high. But if you end up getting suddenly 25 lakhs, right, like you just completely blew it out and are stellar in performance, right, you don't have to end up 17% of 25 lakhs would be a ridiculously high number, right? But you don't need to worry about paying us that much. The moment your EMIs add up to 3 lakhs, your entire income share agreement is done. That's the maximum ever. Doesn't matter if the 36 EMIs are up or not, this is the maximum limit. So either you reach 36 EMIs or you reach 3 lakhs, the entire income share agreement stops there. Okay. And it doesn't start till the time you are above 5 lakhs or above in your annual CTC. Okay. So this kind of makes it safe for you to take this option as well. Okay. But if you think, upfront is the best plan and I want to go for upfront, absolutely. Okay. Cool. So hopefully this is clear. But again, this is a lot of information to take. I can understand. So don't worry. The recorded version of the session will be shared as well, so you can review it later. And also, before you have to sign the income share, we give you a full 1 week to review it and read all the details and terms and conditions. It's a fairly big contract. It's exactly the same if you enter a company and you take up a job offer. The company sends you a job offer letter as well, and that has also a lot of terms and conditions, etc., right? So it's structured in a very similar way. Okay. So there is another safety option for you as well, which is that at the end, so today you graduate. Imagine you've already finished the 4 to 5 months program, you have finished all your projects, and today we said that you're graduating because all your projects are done. Okay. And now you're ready to apply for companies for interviews. From today onwards to 12 months, so 1 full year, if within this 1 year time window you do not cross the 5 lakh CTC mark, right, the minimum guarantee that we gave you, then you can basically put in a request and the entire ISA will be ignored. So that way your entire education that you went through us for 4 to 5 months, 6 months, whatever duration you end up studying, basically becomes free. So our guarantee is that within 12 months of graduating, you will be able to cross the 5 lakhs and above. Okay. If not, you show us the right kind of paperwork, and you actually, we need to make sure that you have, not cross that number and not just say it, but actually prove it that yes, you're not yet crossed that number. And after that, you can put in a request and we'll cancel the entire ISA for you. Okay. Starting salary, this scenario I already just discussed. Okay. Cool. So like I mentioned, there will be a 2-week trial. Okay. So the 2-week trial is basically for you to understand whether even you want to go into this long contract or you want to take the full program, etc. And during the 2-week trial, you will be working for on the Unity 2D project, and as a result, you will be engaging directly with me as well. Okay. So you can ask me anytime during the program, before the program, after the program, doesn't matter. You can approach anybody from within the company and get any of these things clarified as well. Okay. Very much like an education loan, the whole income share agreement is also structured in a way, uh, kind of like an education loan, but much more flexible, because you don't need to, if you take an education loan, right, when you finish your BTech, etc., like the bank doesn't give a shit if you have a job or not, right? They want to charge and start charging EMIs for the loan itself, right? But here it works in a way where you are taking ownership of your own education, and you're going to be paying back from your own salary, without, you don't have to ask for your ask money from your parents, etc., because they might have already taken some kind of a loan, etc., or whatever the case might be. But the idea is that you should become your own in charge in terms of your own education. Okay. um, when you sign the contract, there is a co-signer similar to an education loan. You have to have a parent or a guardian who will be signing it along with you. So you will be the primary person to sign the contract, but there will be a co-signer as well, which will be your parent or your guardian, whoever is the earning member of the family. Okay. Uh, Basically, these are some of the terms, right? So one thing is that one of the conditions of the contract is that you will be able to share your future job offer letter. So anytime you're taking up a job, if your ISA is still valid, you have to share the job offer letter with us, so that we know what is the current CTC that you're at. And as a result, we can calculate what does the 17% number come out to, right? So it's just that from transparency, you need to tell us that, okay, this is the CTC that I am at, and my monthly installments will come out to be this number. Okay. uh, Again, the same thing. So based on your what you have reported to us, your tax filings will also report the same thing, right? um, Initially, there will be a refundable deposit. Like I mentioned earlier, the 2-week trial is free if you want to drop out. If so, there will be a 10,000 security deposit that you'll have to make in the first when you start the program. And if you drop out within 2 weeks, the 10,000 will get refunded. If you don't drop out, then it will get adjusted either in your upfront or whichever of the two plans that you end up taking, right? It will get adjusted in that. So if you're taking the upfront plan, then 10,000 will get adjusted in the 1.5L plus GST total amount, right? If you're taking up the ISA, it will get adjusted with your last ISA EMI that you will be end up paying, right? So if you take up ISA and imagine that you have completed 35 EMIs, 36th EMI, if it comes out to be exactly 10,000, or maybe two EMIs come out to be 35, 36. So whatever is, right, like the amount gets adjusted at the end. Okay. Uh, there is a security deposit check that you have to submit. Okay. While you're signing the ISA, this is not at the start of the program. This is after the 2-week trial. So once the trial is done, you have reviewed the ISA, you're already part of the full batch, and you're signing the ISA. During that time, you have to submit this post-dated check. The check is around 6 to 7 months into the future. So today we have, so today is like June, right? So the check would be for something like November or December, right? So we'll give you an exact date based on the exact date of the start of the program. Okay. So it will be 5 to 6 months into the future. And the idea is that The check is just a security deposit that we don't cash. Okay, the check stays with us as it is. Okay, if there is a problem that you've already learned, and you've gone through the full course, you have taken a job opportunity, or you have been placed, and now you're suddenly not paying the EMIs on time. Okay, you're not at all paying them, you're not at all communicating with the team, and you stop responding to us, right? Like, we don't have a way to chase around individual people because you are spread across all of India, right? So this check will get used only if there is a violation of the contract. If there is no violation at the end of your entire ISA is done, um, then basically the check will either get returned to you, or we'll just scrap it off and we'll burn it off, right? So the check is just a security deposit. We don't cash the check until there is a violation, and we will let you know before. We will send out an email. We'll let you know through SMS that there has been a violation. If you do not respond by a certain time, and let us know what is happening, we will have the right to cash the check. What are the conditions under which we'll be able to cash the check? Those are also given out in full details in the agreement itself. So you will be able to review them, understand when, why, where we'll be able to cash the check, etc. So all those details will be shared with you way ahead of time. It's all part of the contract. Okay. uh, if there is no violation, absolutely there is nothing to do with this check. And if you opt in for the um, upfront payment plan as well, even then also you don't need this check. Okay, this is only when you do the ISA. Ajay, you're asking, is the security amount compulsory? Yes, Ajay, unfortunately it is. What we didn't used to charge this before, but apparently, students are not very serious when it comes to, they think it's a free program, right? And they treat it as if it's a free program and not take it seriously. So it wastes a lot of time, and students end up wasting somebody else's spot that somebody else might be serious about it. And so security amount is absolutely compulsory. um, what happens if someone also starts making money from other sources than a job? So great question, Shubham. So this is also highlighted in the contract. Okay, so as I mentioned, that while we are going through the program, we are learning data structures and algorithms as well, right? That has nothing to do with game development. It is a skill that you need to succeed as a software developer. Okay, and a lot of the skills that we'll be teaching you are transferable skills. So some of our students from our first batch of game development are now working as a full stack web developer as well, right? And building some games and some web development applications as well, right? So the goal is to make you kick-ass developers, and not just Unity developers, or not just game developers, but give you the right kind of tools to sort of transition into a developer, a professional industry grade developer. And what does that mean? Okay, so that is the core idea here. And as a result, uh, sorry, one second. Yeah, so as a result, if you have other sources of income that relate to development, computer science, coding, these kind of things, then that still falls within the same window of ISA. Okay, but tomorrow if you become a bartender, or you become a farmer, right, or you become something completely unrelated to computer science, technology, IT, anything within this window, right? If it's something way beyond that, tomorrow you become a doctor. I don't know why you would become, but let's assume you become a doctor. We didn't teach you anything related to that. So then your ISA is not valid. You don't have to worry about paying. But if you start working freelance and start building games or apps, etc., through freelance, and you're getting that as a source of income, that still falls within the limits of ISA. Okay. Um, but like I said, other kind of opportunities that are not connected to IT, not connected to development, those don't have to be within the limits of ISA. Okay, hopefully that answers that question. Okay, so in terms of placements, the main focus for us would be to focus heavily towards some of the best game companies in India. Okay, and this includes absolutely topmost game companies that you can think of, uh, including Rockstar. So we have basically recently brought Rockstar on board as well, and we are sending them profiles of candidates from our current batches as well. And there are other similar top tier companies that have both offices in India and in US and UK, etc., that are now partnering with us to hire developers. Okay. But again, these are not the only good companies that are out there, right? There are, at the top end of the spectrum, you have companies that are, 15 years old or 20 years old, your rock stars and Sumo Digital and whatnot, right? And then at the other extreme end of the spectrum, you have startups that literally started last month, right? Because gaming is getting such a boost. There's so many new startups that are coming that are getting funded every day and are able to build up solid kick-ass teams that want kick-ass developers to just start building out games, right? They don't want to sit and train you, right? They don't have the time for it. They've already raised external money and they just want to start building. So we cover a full spectrum of these companies, and that way it gets you exposed to a lot of different kind of um, job opportunities out there. So your um, this thing, Sumo Digital and your Rockstar, they care a lot about your C++, data structures, algorithms, etc. And Unity and C Sharp are more like extra boosters for them, right? Because they have their own game engines that they work on, right? But then other companies, they predominantly rely on Unity. So their first criteria would be Unity, and C++ as well as data structures and problem solving is a really strong addition, right? As a result, it kind of opens up both doors for you. And that's why the whole program is structured in a way that you don't just learn Unity, because I see so many people making this mistake that they think that they build one or two games in Unity and suddenly they're a good game developer. Absolutely no. Okay. Becoming a good game developer, you need good problem solving skills, you need good data structures, and you need good logic. Okay. And those things are usually missing in game developers. As a result, the low salaries for majority of the game developers that you see around. Okay. Okay. Then yeah, so the idea is that we don't just limit to the companies that we partner with. We are already partnering with a lot of companies, especially we are covering all of India. But we'll teach you along the way how to build a kick-ass LinkedIn profile, how to approach recruiters so that these skills are with you for life. Okay. It's not that today you need a job and after that you're done. You're not going to change a job anytime, right? 2 years from now you might be changing to your next job, right? So you need to have a kick-ass LinkedIn profile, a kick-ass GitHub account where you can showcase your projects and have solid people in your network, right? All of those things are so fundamental, yet majority people in India are absolutely clueless about how to do these things, right? So instead of just saying we're going to teach you to code, right? The whole idea is to make you well rounded from a developer perspective. What it takes to succeed in the industry is more than just coding, communication, having a well rounded LinkedIn, understanding how to talk to people and interact with people and engage with other professionals in your industry, right? All of these things add up in order to become successful. Okay. So those are the kind of things that we'll be focusing on as well. In terms of tools, so Zoom, we already mentioned. Classroom is something that you'll get introduced to the moment you start, your pre-course, which will cover your introduction and intermediate level C++. Discord is where our entire community is, and this is where the focus will be for all the discussion and interaction that happens between classes, between the live classes. And Gmail and calendar are going to be our two go-to things for anything related to uh, scheduling classes or any kind of changes or scheduling mock interviews with both internal and external people within the company and outside, right? So all of those things will happen through Gmail and calendar. So these are the core things that you should always have on your phone as well as on your machine in order for you to continue working throughout this program. Okay. Again, each of them will share more details, etc. But just to cover all the things that we need to worry about. Um, few things in terms of, like I said, becoming a strong professional. Time management is absolutely important. Typically, the whole program runs for 6 months in duration. This is the first time that we are condensing it down into 4 months for two primary reasons. One, especially for people in your batch, 2020 pass outs, or people 2019 as well, in some cases, there is a lot of uncertainty in the job market. People job offers are getting rescinded, and there's a lot of uncertainty. So as a result, we are condensing it down for students so that they can focus more time on just learning and getting to the stage where they're ready to showcase and be in front of companies as soon as possible. So we have not reduced the amount of content and the amount of topics and the projects that you will be focusing on. That has not gone down, but the amount of hours that you need to invest on a daily basis, that has gone up. Okay. So what we expect from your side is that if you continue through the whole program, be prepared to put in the extra hours so that you get to the top of the ladder in terms of the talent that these companies need as soon as possible. Okay. And B, the companies are dying to hire talent today. Okay. Out of the 100 plus companies that we are in touch with, there are easily more than 75 job openings that we are alone tracking, and we are still waiting for about 45 companies to respond back with their job openings. Okay. And all of these, I'm just talking about game development right now, and these are all top tier companies. And we don't, if a company offers a salary of less than 4 lakhs as a starting salary, we don't even talk to that, right? Like we just ignore them, because we know that there is ample talent that is untrained and are ready to do jobs at 10,000 a month, right? But because we put an amount of time and effort into training our developers, and our developers do the same thing, they put in time to learn how to write quality code, we value them for a good price. Okay. So any company that we talk to, we are not looking at companies that pay, you know, mm, frankly shitty salaries, right? So we don't care about that. So as a result, we value time and we value quality. So time management is a very important aspect for us. Communication, equally important. uh, Majority software developers are fucking horrible when it comes to communication. Okay. And you'll see me repeat this every time, on every session, every webinar. If you're not good at communication, does not matter how good code you write, how good developer you are. You might be the best fucking developer out there, you might be better than Steve Wozniak, but it does not mean shit if you cannot communicate to another human being. Okay. uh, Unfortunately, communication is something that you need to practice and you need to improve. And communication doesn't mean your English skills. Okay. You might have awesome English, but you'll not be able to give a precise answer in an interview. Your communication is zero. Okay. So that's why I mentioned that we focus on preparing the interview module way ahead in time, while you're working on your game development projects, so that we know that it takes a lot of time to prepare students for the right kind of communication skills and what kind of effort it needs. So this is something which is a very big focus. And because we focus heavily on projects, you have to practice, whether it's a data structure problem, whether it's Unity, whether it's C sharp, whether it's C++, no matter what, you have to practice, practice, practice. There is no other way. Okay. Forget if you read articles like blah student from blah college got a 1 crore salary from Microsoft overnight. Well, guess what? It didn't happen fucking overnight. Yes, the offer came in one day, but that person was probably sitting and slogging his ass off for the last 4 years in order to get to that stage where they were able to get this salary. Okay. And how did that happen? Practice, practice, practice. There is no other way. All right. So if you want to cut corners, if you want to take shortcuts, if you want to just be like, all right, give me some tips and tricks and I'll make it through my life and be successful. I'm sorry to bust your bubble, it's not going to happen. Okay. If you want to be successful, if you want to get to that place where you can proudly say that, all right, I'm working at such a top tier company and able to demand a high salary for it, you have to practice. Okay, if even you end up not taking anything, or working with Outscale or enrolling in any of our programs, etc., you don't end up doing anything. You just take these three things out of this today's session. Okay, hopefully they'll serve you well in your career as well. All right, so that's pretty much it. Ah, that's pretty much it for today. Hopefully, that has given you a brief idea about what the whole program is about, how we think about, the whole learning experience, and what all you'll be focusing on. Um we start referring to companies once you guys finish your data structure module. So some students that are right now finishing their DS module, right now, they haven't even started Unity, right? And we have already started recommending them because we can see that they are already solving and keeping up with the pace and are able to perform well in their communication skills, mock interviews and whatnot, right? So it's not that just at the end of the pipeline, once you've finished everything, that's when we recommend you. The goal is when we see that you're a good fit and a company has the right kind of opening for you, then we'll recommend you to the right kind of company. Okay, so that's how the entire program is structured. Hopefully that gives you a good idea. As for immediate steps, the goal is that you would have already received an assignment, so please make sure that you are finishing that C++ basic assignment. It would already come with some certain study material, even if you don't have C++ knowledge. So finish that first, and then you'll be given access to a pre-course, and you'll be given a deadline along with it as to when the pre-course ends. And at the end of the pre-course, we'll make selection in terms of whether you are good to start with the full-time batch and start attending live sessions or not. Okay, so that will be the main focus, and that is what you should be building yourself towards. Okay, any questions? You can reach out to us either on the admissions at the rate outscale.com. I'll drop in the email ID in the chat as well. Or you can directly connect to our Discord community here via this link. Joining the Discord is absolutely free. You can, if you have any kind of doubts or you want to see how the rest of the program is running, or how the existing batches are running, feel free to join Discord, because on Discord you'll be able to find all our other students. There are 500 plus developers already on Discord, and you'll be able to talk to the current students, see the discussions already. You'll be able to see the actual assignments and questions and whatnot other developers are working on, both with C++, web, data structures, as well as Unity and all, right? So those things you will basically be able to interact with other people and figure out. Bindu, you're asking what are the tools that we are supposed to install. Bindu, right now you don't have to worry about installing anything. If you have Zoom, if you have Discord, that's all you need. Um, Once you start working on Google Classroom, it's completely web based. So you just need a browser, and that's all. When the time comes that we start working on our first Unity project, you will be shared all the instructions as to install this tool, install that tool, etc., etc., and we'll teach you the basic steps of what you need to do in each tool as well, right? So one tool being GitHub. So we'll use GitHub very heavily for all the projects, and how do you work with GitHub? What are the desktop tools that you need to install? So all of these details will be shared with you once we get to that stage. Okay, so for now the focus is that start working with your C++ assignment and start working with the pre-course once you finish the assignment. And basically complete the pre-course. Okay, for pre-course you don't need any tool. You can do it all inside a browser. All right, because it's completely C++ based and purely focusing on your understanding and building your understanding of object oriented programming, which is the basic of pretty much everything. Okay. Sorry. Any other questions, guys? Okay. So I don't see any other questions kind of coming in. So I think hopefully we are good. If there are any questions, I dropped in both the email ID and the bit.ly link for Discord community. Feel free to send us either an email or Satnam or Gaurav, whoever you are in touch with, from my team. Feel free to directly reach out to them as well if you have any specific questions. But hopefully I'll see you guys all sort of submitting your assignments very soon, and also getting started with learning your C++ modules as well. Okay, cool guys. So I think we should be good to wrap up. And yep, all right, awesome, cool guys. So let's wrap up, and hopefully I'll see you guys all on Discord very soon as well. All right, cool guys.